now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
What is going on, RBLR Nation? You are tuning into the Rays portion of RBLR Sports over here. I am your host, Zach Blaine, and here with me is my favorite co-host in the whole entire world, Mr. Ben Whitelaw. How are you doing today, brother?
Hey, good morning. How's it going, Zach?
Oh, it's going, man. It is going. A great week of Rays baseball up until the last two games. But what are your thoughts on just this week in general? Just a quick overview.
It's been great. What are we, like 5-2 this week since we recorded last? That's awesome.
Yeah, 5-2, and those two come in just these last 2 days. So playing very, very good baseball.
Yeah, definitely.
So this week, do we want to do our topics first, or do we want to do the weekly overview?
Yeah, topics first, I guess. I mean, like, we kind of just covered it. Like, we won the series against Kansas City. We swept the Angels, and now we dropped 2 on the road to Boston. But yeah, we can get into our topics, I guess, right away.
All right. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Let's rock, paper, scissors for it.
All right. You ready?
1, 2, 3, rock.
Paper.
Okay. You
All right.
won. You go. Wait, does that mean I go first?
I think that means you go first. We get this same confusion every time.
Yeah, we gotta work this out behind the scenes, but it's fine. All right. So, excuse me. My topic this week is Garrett Cleavinger. He finally got called up, which is really cool. Yarbs got optioned because he can't pitch for like the next 5 days anyways, so there's no point in carrying a dead arm on the roster, kind of like what they did with Patino. So yeah, they call up Cleavinger, and he is perfect. Like, he is as good as advertised. Insane stuff, really good like deception in his delivery. I have nothing but good things to say about him. Like, that was so cool to watch. That was amazing.
Yeah, no, his arm slot, I know you had tweeted something about it, and he just looks like he's going to be a huge help for us the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, he was already a pretty big help in, the way that he pitched 2 innings and saved the bullpen at the end of the game there. So now we can get Fairbanks, Adam, Rayleigh, Thompson, all the A bullpen guys in today at some point, which is good. So I like the Rays' chances to kind of steal the final game of this series here, but he was phenomenal. He had a 50% chase rate and then a 43% called strike rate. So it's like they're just taking strikes and then swinging at balls, and he's really deceptive in the way that he like tunnels his pitches too. Like, he's really good at that. It's just so cool, and I'm gonna post my game notes later, and it has like more of the numbers and stuff and like all the nerdy details. But basically, like, he is like an A+ back of the bullpen arm, going to pitch in high leverage as soon as possible. Like, his stuff is real. The only thing that could hold him back is his command, which he's been a little rough with. But the Rays have such a strong track record of improving command, so. Yeah, he's really, really good. All of his pitches like look the same out of the hand because they all spin the same, and then they do just 4 different things about like 20 feet away from the plate. So I don't understand how anybody could be successful against him.
So do you think that's what makes him so deceptive, is the fact that all 4 of them look essentially exactly the same until 20 feet from the plate?
Yeah, definitely. Like, the fastball and his sinker have the same spin, but then move like 5 inches like differently, and then or 5 inches of separation between the drop, and then like 8 inches of separation on the run. And then the slider and the curve look exactly the same too. They're like the same spin. But then that has like 10 inches of separation in each direction. And then also the fastball and sinker, and then the slider and curve are like inverses of each other. So like all 4 of them look like they're spinning the exact same way, and a hitter tries to pick up the spin and they can't because it looks the same. It's crazy.
It's crazy to think that a guy can come out and do that and throw something that looks exactly the same and have a 10-inch difference from one pitch to another.
Yeah, I'm so excited about him. Like everything he does, like mechanically, is so good, and it's really just a matter of like being able to throw like 50% strikes, and he's good. So I like his chances of sticking, and he's really just he's going to dominate. The entire time he's with the Rays, no doubt about it.
So with him sticking, do you think that leaves Yarbrough in limbo kind of a deal?
No, because they're two different kind of roles. Like when they need a starter, they're gonna have Yarbrough. When they need, a save or like a hold in high leverage, they're gonna go to Cleavinger. So they'll probably have a role for both of them somewhere on the roster, whether it's through injury or something like that. But yeah, I'm just really excited about his stuff. It's real, and I'm surprised the Rays got him for so cheap.
That was my biggest thing is he was one of our cheaper gets this season, and to see him perform the way, I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. The Rays seem to do this every season with at least two or three people who aren't expected to be anything, and then they come out and perform like one of the best we've seen in a long time. Um, so I wanted to touch on that a little more, though. On you mentioned him being a high leverage guy, so you're thinking that he's one of those guys that we throw in a close game, or
Yeah, I mean Pete Fairbanks is still the best relief pitcher probably in baseball right now, so he's going to be like the highest leverage, but he's right up there immediately with Jason Adam, like especially against left-handed hitters because he's a lefty and that's a really tough arm angle to hit from.
well, that's exciting to think about. Then just to have two guys like Fairbanks and just to have them out there and being able to dominate, like I think it's going to help us a little bit with my topic.
Yeah, definitely. So your topic was about the Rays record in a specific kind of game, right?
Yeah, so in our chat offline, I put our 40 at the time it was 40-7. Now we're at 42-8 in games where we score five or more runs. Um, I went a little bit further into that and found out that of our total 57 losses, 33 of those losses are by two or less points, and only 9 of those are in extra innings. So I kind of
Nice.
wanted to get your opinion on, like, obviously being 42-8 when we score five or more runs, that just means we're scoring more runs than the other team. I feel like that's not a very good topic to say, hey, when we score more runs, we win. Like we're 69-0 when we score more runs than the other team. So I feel like that's not a very good topic to go on. So I wanted to get a little bit deeper into the 33 losses by two or more runs and kind of get your opinion on what it is with close games where we can't either finish, or what your opinion is on that.
Well, first I'd want to know like how many other teams are playing 33 games within 2 runs because I feel like that's probably a lot. And I don't
Yeah,
know like, the Rays pitching is, that's their strength. It's been their strength for like, over a decade now. And I think their pitching is what's keeping them in so many games and giving them a chance to win. Like their offense this year has been, hovering around average. With all the injuries, I think it will get better as guys keep returning. Like we're going to get Brandon Lau back. I know he's been on the shelf past couple games, and then Wander's going to come back. But their pitching really keeps them in so many games. So I think the fact that they're playing so many close games is a good thing because they're really not
yeah.
getting blown out. Like it sucks to lose close games a lot, but I'd like to think they're playing in more close games than other teams. I'll definitely have to look into that more.
Yeah, see, I didn't go league wide, but I was just, when I was looking at that, it was interesting to me because I agree with you 100%. I think that pitching is what keeps us in those games, and it almost made me feel like, I don't want to say bad for our pitchers, because I feel like our pitchers' records would be a lot better if we weren't in so many close games, obviously. Um, but it feels like the fact that we've had so many injuries and just our offense not performing, some of our offensive players not performing like we expected this season, is kind of hurting us in those close games.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like the offense is kind of what's holding them back in those situations, but they're in that situation so much more than other teams, I think. I don't know. I'm still trying to find like the numbers on how many other teams play those close games, but it's really impressive that they are essentially in so many games that other teams aren't necessarily in most of the time. So yeah, it's definitely an offense thing, but the reinforcements are on the way, and the pitching just continues to be dominant. So really good stuff.
Okay, so our producer, Mr. Eureka, who, if you guys don't know him, is probably the best producer around. In one run games, we are 22-20, so that's even more. I mean, in one run games, we have a winning record.
Wait, was it not a winning record in 2 run games?
So we're 33-57, or I didn't get that stat down. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But I do know that we're 22-20 in one run games now.
Okay,
I
that
only
makes
looked at
sense.
our losses for close or for the two or less run differences.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in like so it just for me it was more of a thought of like so 33 of our 57 losses were close games, and it was kind of exciting to me that, like you said, with us being in so many close games, that in those 57 losses, we were technically in 50, or we were in 33 of those 57 losses.
Yeah, and then like you said, the third like 9 of the 33 are extra innings, so it's essentially like a third of those losses are a coin flip. Like the extra inning stuff, they don't even do it in the postseason because it sucks so bad and it's not reliable.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly.
like it's good enough for the regular season apparently, but you can't use it in the most meaningful games. So I think a lot of times, like with the Rays pitching that they have, those extra innings games would eventually like go in their favor, especially with like, the first. So let's say we go to like a 19 inning game in the postseason, the first position player the Rays are going to throw out would be Bethencourt probably, especially in a
Yeah,
close game, and he's
yeah.
better than every other position player pitching. So like, I like their chances if a game goes on long enough. Like it's kind of weird. I mean, it's a joke to say, but also kind of not really in this situation where like the Rays aren't really losing games. They're just running out of time to score more runs than the other team because like I mean it's a joke, but they're also so much deeper than the other team. So it's like what if they could just get rid of Manfred Ball and just play like a one or like play a tie game as long as possible, they'd probably win a lot more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, you said it's a joke, but at the same time, you're like, I don't even think it's a joke, because realistically, if it wasn't so easy for the team to be like, all right, all we got to do is hit two sack flies and we have a run score.
Right.
Like that's not how baseball should work, in my opinion. So like at the same time, with it being a joke, I think that it's more realistic than a joke because of that. If they don't have anyone on base, you're not hitting two sack flies and scoring a run, and literally doing nothing but getting outs to score a run. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of small ball. I hate that stuff. Everybody should try to hit a home run every single time, no matter what. Like I really I like they don't have like a bunt derby. They have a home run derby. So hit home runs. Those are exciting. Bunts are
Hey,
stupid. Sack flies are stupid.
in the Japanese league, they do have a bunt derby. I've seen it.
Okay, well that's kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, no bunt derbies here. Just hit home runs, hit the ball as hard as you can, as far as you can, swing as hard as you can every time, and good things happen.
I like it. I like it. And yeah, so that was just my topic. I know that it was a little thrown together with I should have looked at more details, but I didn't expect Ben to ask those questions, and now I know why he's the stats guy. um so yeah, so this week, man, this week in baseball, in Rays baseball, I should say. What was the most impressive thing to you this week about us?
Just how much pitching depth the Rays have. Like every guy that comes up can contribute immediately. Like I know we played the Royals. They're not good. We didn't really learn anything that series. We played the Angels. They're also not good, so we didn't really learn anything there. But we did get to see Shagwa come in, and his stuff is like getting there. It's almost back to normal, so that's really cool. But yeah, I mean, they took care of business in those two series, but we also didn't really learn much or get anything productive out of it. So yeah, it's fine. But then I know the Boston series, there's more to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see Shagwa as soon as we did. I know that last week we had talked about him potentially being DFA'd, um, which we didn't want, but we talked about that being an option. And for him to come in the first game he's back and throw, I was like, wow, okay. He didn't look bad either. Like, I think you nailed it on the head. He looked solid.
Yeah, his stuff was almost back to normal, which was crazy because like literally for the entire month he was rehabbing, he was sitting like 92, 93, maybe 94, and his stuff just wasn't sharp at all. And then he comes in and he's like 95, 96 with a completely like brand new slider and a sinker that was moving really well. So he's not 100% yet, but he's definitely getting there. Like each time he's gone out, he's been a little bit better. So I think maybe in like a week or so, we'll see a really good version of Shagwa. But even when he's not at 100%, he still looks really good.
Yeah, no, and then Rasmussen this week again. He pitched twice since we recorded last, and another 2 wins. Like he's just so good, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how he's able to find all that success without. I mean, he did get more swing and miss this time, but he's another one of the guys who tunnels his pitches really well. Things look similar on the way to the plate, and I think his cutter is really helpful in that because the fastball and slider they're really hard to tunnel because his move so differently. But then the cutter is kind of like a nice like bridge pitch where the fastball and cutter look the same, and then the slider and cutter look the same. So now that he has that cutter, it's a really I don't know. It just makes all of his other pitches better. So it's been nice, and he is throwing a couple more curveballs recently too. So I think he's feeling really confident because it's not a great pitch, but if he can execute it like in with conviction, like it's a decent pitch. So he's feeling himself for sure.
And I like to hear it. I know we had McClanahan had a kind of post All-Star. I don't want to say slump, but the way he was performing, it was a slump, which is crazy to say because he still was solid. So it's good to see our starters just fill that void, and all of them are performing very, very well post All-Star break.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, they did play the Royals and the Angels, but they still had to face Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Vinny Pasquantino, Bobby Witt Jr. So there were still some like good hitters they had to face. It wasn't like they were playing like Oakland or anything.
Yeah, and I mean Trout still hit us with 2 dingers, so
Yeah, he's gonna get his no matter what. So
yeah,
just make
that's
sure nobody's on base.
exactly how I looked at it when he hit him. I was like, I mean, we gave up home runs to literally the best player in baseball, who's not on steroids. So it's crazy. He's just so talented. I know we're a Rays podcast, but God, he's so good.
Yeah, and it's crazy because he's like the best player in baseball, but he's also like barely the best player on his own team, and they're still
Yeah,
like 15 games under 500. Like the Angels, I know there's like talk of them, the ownership in the process of like selling the team, but they definitely need to sell the team. Like they need to like revamp, fire everybody in that front office, fire all the coaches, start over. That's probably the best way to do it,
I mean they already
unfortunately.
fired Madden, and he was. I mean, they have a worse record since firing Madden than they had with him. So those
Yeah,
are
it's kind of annoying that the not the umpires, the managers are the ones who are the first ones to blame when things go wrong, when it's like his players aren't hitting the ball and he doesn't have players that can hit the ball. So,
yeah, and exactly like that's. It's just sad to see some of those players. Like it's see those players play for that team when you know they're not going to make a deep playoff run or a playoff run at all, and to see some of the best talent of our time anyway, possibly ever, just be stuck in essentially purgatory.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably never going to see another Shohei Ohtani in our lifetimes. So,
Exactly. And I think that there's only one way that we could possibly see another Otani,
and what's that?
and
I
that
mean, I
is,
know where you're going, but I want to see how you connect this.
and that is if we start training one now who only wears RBLR Sports merch.
I think that would help. I don't know.
I'm telling you it would, because when you wear some of the amazing shirts at shop.rblrsports.com, they automatically add at least 8% power to your pitches, and when you're at the plate, it's at least 60% higher chance of a home run. When you're rocking some of our Tampa Bay Rays inspired shirts, some of our Bucks inspired shirts, Rowdies, anything anything that you get from there will add at least a little bit of something to your repertoire.
I mean, if you say so, I'll take your word for it.
I had to fit it in there, man. I had to fit it in there. So this is what we're going with. If it doesn't work, I'll give you a refund on your one shirt. That's it. And I think we even have a discount code for you guys. Ben, you want to give them that, man?
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's Flappy, FLAPPY. You know the drill. Go to shop.rblrsports.com, put in that code, click on a bunch of different shirts, add them to your cart, buy them for friends, family. Halloween's coming up. You know, you need to get your Halloween podcast shirt or
I
something.
mean, Bring Back the Devil is a pretty badass Halloween shirt.
Yeah, that's true. It does make sense.
So I had to get that in there. I know it was a different one than normal, but um, with this week, you said you wanted to take a closer look at the Red Sox series so far. So I figure we go ahead and get into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too close because I hate it, but it's still like worth talking about. Like the Friday night game, really high scoring, fun game, but you know, it's they use the juice balls in the nationally televised games. Like I think there were 7 players that hit a ball over 400 feet in that game, and that's like that doesn't happen. Usually, you get like two, maybe three, maybe four if it's really windy, but like seven, like come on, and
Exactly.
like a not even a warm night in Boston. It's like I think it was like mid 70s. Like, come on. Like what are
Yeah,
they doing?
and we had Siri hit 433, Choi hit 431, Diaz hit 411, and it's just like that's insane.
I mean, it's cool, but I don't like it when the juice balls are used for the other team. Like they should only use them when the Rays are batting and then just throw like a bowling ball when the Red Sox are batting. I think that would be fair.
I mean, that checks out. That sounds like a fair trade to me.
I mean, and the Red Sox won by a run, but they had a 519 batting average on balls in play that game, and that was greater that so like out of the over 3,700 offensive performances this season, so like half of that is however many games they played because it counts like the offense for each team. They had a higher batting average on balls in play than over 98% of teams this season. So like they got that lucky just to win by one run. It's really frustrating and annoying, but it's also like a little comforting that like that's what it's going to take to beat the Rays on a juiced ball night. So um yeah, I mean it was still a fun game. It was exciting, but it's they got so lucky and they've had a couple of those games lately where they're just really high batting average on balls in play when the league average this year is 291. So if you're at like 519, that's not real. Like that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, I know we are talking about Yarbrough, and like his stat line looks really bad in that game, like with the 8 hits, 5 runs, but at the same time, he didn't look awful, which was the strange thing to me.
Yeah, I mean it's the juice balls. It's crazy. He had an average exit velo like upwards of 93 and like that's not him. Like he doesn't do that. I mean, he wasn't great with his command. He did miss a couple spots, but like it's the juice balls are not going to make any pitcher look good.
Exactly, and it upsets me a little bit for Yarbs. Like he's got that 1-8 record, and it just feels like every time he goes out, something just doesn't go right for him, no matter how good his stuff is.
Yeah, it's the defense let him down a little bit. I know he gave up like a 350-foot home run in that game. Um, a couple just, it's like 1,000 singles to score 2 runs, and they just do that for some reason. So yeah, Boston's been getting a lot of that luck lately, and hopefully that runs out today, but it's still really frustrating. And they did it yesterday too. They had like a 460 BABIP or something like that. And it was just, it stopped kind of after the second inning, but I just really want their luck to run out because it's really annoying. They're like 7 or 8 games out of the wild card. They're realistically like not really in it. So they should just stop trying and let us win today.
I second that, and I 100% agree with you. Um, can I touch on? I believe it was the first game of the series. It was on Apple TV. The worst commentating job I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, they keep rolling it out there, and I think like they have the mindset where any publicity is good publicity for them. So I kind of want to just like stop tweeting about it because I think they want people to complain just so like other people tune in and then they watch and it's like, "Oh, wow, this is really bad." But like just listen to Dave and Andy on the Rays radio if anybody here doesn't want to listen to Apple TV, which you shouldn't. Just do the radio. Save yourself some headaches, and they're just so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it literally felt like trying to watch it. I had to turn it down. I couldn't listen. Like they just annoyed me that much, and it feels like they don't know who their intended audience is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just trying to get anybody to watch. I mean, anybody that has an Apple product, maybe whoever has access to Apple TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have access to it, but I'm not going to use it for baseball. That's for sure. Like, I mean, the camera is really cool. I feel like some of the numbers, like their hit probability and like reach base probability that they throw in the bottom corner, like I feel like they're just making that up. Like, I don't really know where that data comes from, but
Exactly.
it's just a really poor production, and I wish they would stop. But I also like can't stop making fun of it either. So maybe that's what they want.
Yeah, there was during one of the Red Sox at bats. I don't remember who it was, but it was like there was a man on second, and I think a man on second and third, and one out, and it said this guy's RBI probability was like 21%. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know where they come up
how?
with that stuff.
Where do you get that 21% man on second and third and his only 21%? Like, where do you get these numbers from? Is kind of that's where my head was at with it when I was watching, and it makes no sense to me. Like, I feel like they're trying to just introduce baseball to people who have never watched it before. Is what it feels like.
Well, it seems like they've also never watched it before, so maybe that's a good fit because they truly just don't know what they're talking about. Like maybe they're using like some kind of run expectancy thing when they're doing their RBI probabilities, but it's like you don't read it in percentages really
Yeah,
sometimes. I don't know, but
exactly.
the way they're using it just doesn't feel right, and yeah, it's just a mess. So it sucks, and I will definitely try not to watch any more Apple TV broadcasts, but it's still really funny to watch them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for half of an inning, I learned about a dating show that took place in at Fenway Park.
Yeah,
Like, why do I care about a dating show that took place in Fenway Park? That's not relevant to baseball.
yeah. Fenway Park's a dump, anyways.
Thank you. The only thing they got going for them is a green monster, and just because it's iconic, that's it.
Yeah, it's old. Everything's broken down and stuff. Just tear it down, I think, and get rid of the team too. No more Red Sox. Tear down the stadium.
Red Sox and Yankees, they both can go. I know you're real close with all the Yankee fans, so
Yeah, I'm not getting death threats anymore, so it's fine.
that's
Um,
positive. You know you've made it when you get death threats.
yeah, it's cool. All right, we should probably do our players of the week here. I think we're ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I mean, let's do the bats first. Who do you got?
Okay, so I have two that I'm kind of torn between. Yandy Diaz, again, we've talked about him being the MVP of the team this season. Another week where he performed very, very well. And then another guy who we haven't talked too much about, I feel like is just one of the, for lack of a better word, clutch players. Harold Ramirez, man.
All right, who's your number one then?
My number one is Yandy. It felt like every time, every win and loss we had, he was in the scoring column somehow. Whether he was a runner, whether he was the one producing the runs. So my number one is Yandy Diaz this week.
Okay, cool. I had Randy, so I wasn't Harold or Yandy.
Okay,
Randy had a 222 WRC plus, so 122% better than the league average hitter this week. That was the highest on the team. He had a zero point 0.5 F WAR, so almost a half, well, actually, literally a half win this week, which was the highest on the team by quite a bit. And then he had a 1083 OPS, which again was the highest on the team. Brandon Lau was close though; he had like a 940 something. Randy also went 2 for 2 in stolen bases, so always nice to see him not get thrown out. Even though I love the aggression either way. And the most interesting thing he did this week, aside from all the really good numbers that he put up and led the team in those things, he had a 35% swing rate this week, which is the lowest on the team and the fourth lowest in baseball this week. So he's really just so patient lately. And when he gets a pitch in the zone, he's destroying it. And when he doesn't get a pitch in the zone, he's ignoring it. And that's the best version of Randy. He's always been a pretty patient hitter, but he's been like locked in lately and just dominating and carrying this team, hitting home runs, stealing bases. He does it all.
yeah, I'm cool with a Randy player of the week. He's one of my favorite players on the team, so I'm completely down with that. And who do you have for your arm of the week?
Shane McClanahan. I like the. I mean, I don't want to call it a bounce back start, but like he looked like he did earlier this season. He was just throwing the ball really, really hard, and that's a good recipe for success for him. He had a 40.9 strikeout rate, which is insane. Just a 4.5 walk rate, 0.63 FIP. And really impressive is an 81.4 average exit velo. So he was getting weak contact, getting strikeouts. He was worth zero point 0.3 F WAR this week, and I know I said Fairbanks might be like the most dominant pitcher in the bullpen right now, but McClanahan just had an awesome performance. And I know it wasn't against the best competition, but he still had like his stuff would have, been able to play against any team that night. So good for him.
Yeah, so I went different from you on this as well. I went with Rasmussen. Uh,
Okay.
17 strikeouts, I believe three total hits on him. He had a 9 strikeout game and an 8 strikeout game, and his 8 strikeout game was in 5 2/3 innings. So I think that he's finally getting the swing and miss stuff that we kind of wanted or expected from him, that it just wasn't happening. So he's my pitcher of the week with 2 wins, 17 strikeouts, and 3 earned runs.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That's fair. So I thought he only pitched once this week. I
He
wasn't
pitched
sure though.
he pitched Saturday against the Angels or the Royals, sorry, and then he pitched Thursday against the Angels.
Okay, yeah, I knew he pitched Thursday. When did we I forgot if we recorded Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Was it the
Oh,
afternoon?
okay. Okay, so it may have been the afternoon then. I may have added in an extra win, but you know what? I'll still take 9 strikeouts and 1 earned
Oh
run.
yeah, definitely. Well, because I know that I had him as my pitcher of the week last week because of his start against Baltimore and then the Royals. So
Okay,
okay,
so that makes sense. That's where the confusion is. But still, I'm still gonna keep him my pitcher of the week. 9 strikeouts. He almost got a 10 piece. That sets a career high for him, and I believe pitches in a game as well as strikeouts in a game. I believe he threw 98 pitches this week against the Angels, and it's kind of the opposite of what we said might happen last week, because last week I believe we were talking about him maybe being on some sort of a pitch count leading up to the playoffs, and that blew us right out of the water when he throws a career high and pitches in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he still looks fresh, and if his body's responding well to this kind of workload, I guess they can kind of like they can let it run because I mean, he looks fine, and I think they could. I think they're comfortable taking on that risk. It seems like so. Go for it. Why
Yeah,
not?
he hasn't even had has he had like a legit IL stint this season? I don't think he has.
No, I thought he might have had a phantom IL stint earlier, but I think I'm thinking of Springs. So no, I think he's good. Maybe they skipped him in a start earlier because I feel like he's had no. Well, he did get that game in Detroit when he got pulled after like I think it was like three
Yeah,
innings.
it was like 3 or 3.5 innings. Yeah,
So we might see like a couple more of those just to make sure that he doesn't, go too far. But I know as like a rule of thumb, it's like you don't want to go more than 20 to 25% above the innings pitch total from the previous season. So I think he was at like 90 total innings last year between AAA and the majors. So, or it might have been 99. I don't know. I have to look at it. But basically, he's probably like not going to go much more than the 130 to 140 range,
yeah.
maybe 150. But in regular season, I think the postseason they might just let him run. But we'll have to see. Keep an eye on that.
I mean, I feel like you have to just let him run. When we make a deep playoff run, I'm not even gonna say if, because I have faith in this team again. So if when we make a deep playoff run, I think you have to let him and McClanahan just let them go, let them be themselves, let them throw everything that they can.
Yeah, definitely. And I know the Rays are probably going to go with the hot hand in the playoffs, but um, I don't know. I have to see Rasmussen's workload because I think he might just be like a 3 to 4 inning guy come playoff time. I don't know if he'll be like a full time starter. I'll have to look at that.
And that's a fair thought. So we did this thing last year where we did our starting our top three in the rotation for the playoffs.
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but that was one of our go-tos at the end of the show. So I'm thinking, why don't we start that back up with us being so close to the playoffs? I know this is completely random, but if you had to pick three pitchers right now for our playoff rotation, who would it be?
Um, McClanahan, obviously. Kluber would be my number two, and then third. I don't really know if I do like a third one, like a third starter. I think that third game would be just all hands on deck. Couple bulk guys, couple relievers, but yeah, I think it's more of a two starter thing with the Rays because they have so many bulk options. So I'd go McClanahan and then Kluber next because I know Kluber can handle that workload. Rasmussen's about like 10 to 15 innings before he gets to that 20 to 25% over the previous season range. I just looked up his innings. So he's probably just a bulk guy come postseason time, which is fine because like they need starters innings now to get to the postseason. But once they get
Yeah.
there, I don't think he'll see more than like 5 innings in a start.
So your reasoning is completely valid and it is probably more realistic, but I'm going with kind of like you said before, the hot hand. I'm going Rasmussen 1, Clanahan 3 or 2, and then Kluber 3 for my lineup. I know I had the same kind of concept last year when I was putting Patino in my my rotation for the playoffs. So
Wait, so
those
you
are my
said Rasmussen above McClanahan?
right now with the hot hand. Yes.
Well, the hot hand is still McClanahan. Like he still had better numbers than Rasmussen this week. Like he had a
Well,
better
this
strikeout
this
rate,
week,
better
yes.
walk rate, better FIP.
This week,
Um,
yes. I'm going more off of the second half in all, I guess I should say.
okay, I'll have to look at the second half stats, but I think McClanahan has still been better than Rasmussen, even with his little drop off here. But I'll have to check.
I believe you. Put it on Twitter. Tag me in it.
Okay, I'll look it up. I guess probably not right now because we're doing our show, but I'll look into it.
You can't multitask like that. Come on, Ben.
I can try.
But no. So yeah. So that's my three. But we did have some solid pitcher news this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We totally forgot. Yeah. Glass now signed that massive extension. I mean, not massive in terms of years, but like he's getting $25 million. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, so next, what is that? That's not next year, but the year after, right? I think the first year was what, 12 million or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
2023.
I think it's just I think it's basically a 1 year extension because he still has arbitration for a year. So I'll have to look up that too. I just thought it was 1 year, 25 million.
Oh yeah, see, when I looked that up, because I was excited about it, because I was like, all right, he'll definitely be back next year, because I thought that it was like a small raise coming into next year, and then it jumps to 25 in 2024.
Okay, so next year, yeah, I mean it's technically an arbitration year,
Yeah.
but he's going to be getting 5.3 million
Okay.
next year and then 25 million in 2024 and then he becomes a free agent. Lots of incentives on that deal based on Cy Young voting. So I think the Rays trust him to come back 100%. Maybe even this year, probably this year. I don't think they'd sign him to that big of a deal after watching him pitch one time. Like he threw a bullpen, and everybody was there at the Trop watching him, all the executives, and then they signed him to a huge contract a couple days later. So he probably is going to pitch this year, I think, and he's definitely going to pitch next year, and he's going to be dominant.
Yeah, so between you, me, and all the fans listening, do you think that $25 million hit in 2024 uh, makes him a trade candidate after next season?
Um, no, I think he wants to stay with the Rays. I mean, like they could part with him, but like I don't know. I don't think they would sign him to a $25 million deal and then just say, "Yeah, we're going to trade you halfway through that season with all these incentives on your contract." I don't think they're going to trade him. I mean, unless they're like way out of the playoff race, but a lot of other things would have to go wrong for that to happen. And they're such a good, consistent team. I don't see them falling out.
No,
Probably
I
not.
I agree, and I don't want him traded. I would gladly like if I had the money that the Rays do, I would spend $25 million on Glass now. I think he's one of the better pitchers when he's healthy in the league. I mean, and it shows every time he's gotten hurt, he's been number one or number two in a Cy Young race. Um, so I think that he's a phenomenal pitcher, and I'm glad that he's with the team for at least the next 2 years. So to see that, I mean, our lineup next year with Glass now, McClanahan, and Raz is going to be. We're going to have the best pitching rotation in all of baseball.
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure.
But yeah, so is there any other? I know Brendan McKay. I don't know if we've heard anything on him yet, but I know that he got hurt after one warm up pitch in Durham.
Yeah, I think he's going to need Tommy John surgery. Like it looks like it's going to go that route. And if it is, then he's probably not going to pitch for the Rays ever again. Like they're most likely not going to roster a guy through the 40 man this winter who is not going to be able to pitch for like a year and a half. So if he does need Tommy John surgery, which is what it kind of looks like right now, he's going to be done. Um, Other good news though is Matt Whistler is looking fine in Durham. He's getting back. Wander should begin his rehab this week. Fleming looked good. The box score wasn't good, but like he was fine. So box score in rehab outings doesn't really matter. He looked good. Yanni Torino's still working his way back. He looks almost normal in Durham, which is awesome. I think we'll see him kind of soon at the big league level. And Fireisen is aiming for a mid-September return, but it's still up in the air with him. He's got a weird injury, but yeah, there are still guys coming. I know we got a lot of players back, but there are still more on the way.
I'm excited for it. I think that we're just going to continue to outperform everyone else the rest of this season. I think that we have a very solid chance of catching up to the Yankees.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's only 7 or 8 games out, so still really comfortable in a wild card spot right now, though.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the first wild card spot, so I don't think there's. I mean, it would take a whole collapse for us to fall out of the wild card race, and I don't. The Rays aren't a team to me that can have a collapse that big.
No, especially with so many key players like still coming back from injury. So They have the third best record in the AL right now, and that's awesome. And it's really only going to go up from here too.
Yeah, I agree. If the Yankees weren't full of dumb luck, we'd be in first place. So I think it's going to come crashing down for the Yankees, and we'll end up. I think we'll be out of the wild card before the end of the season.
Yeah, I think the division is definitely still in reach, and they do play the Yankees a couple more times this year, so the Rays are in control of their destiny. Like if they can go out and win those games, so it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, this upcoming week we play the Marlins. I think we play Boston again, and then we play the Yankees, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they definitely need to beat up on Miami. I think it's only a 2-game series, so if they could just take
Yeah,
both
it
of them,
is.
that's cool. Win every series. It doesn't matter if they sweep, just win the series, really.
Yeah, I agree. As long as we can win a series I think Boston's going to be in the Trop. So if we can beat Boston at least, I think it's a 3-game series. So if we can pull 2 from there, and it would be beautiful to sweep the Yankees. I think that'll just put a stamp on it even more.
Yeah, I mean it's tough when the umpires don't want that to happen, but I think the Rays can. I think they can make a push for it.
Yeah, I mean your ump scorecards have the ones that you've been tweeting have shown it perfect. They're at least a run every game in favor of New York.
I mean they're the most favored team in baseball this year. Like it's not they're not hiding it well. The umpires aren't.
No, not at all. And then to see them still lose some of those games where they earned like one. There was one that I saw they lost and they earned like through the umps 1.44, and I was like, how do you lose that? How do you lose that game?
Yeah, they're a dumpster fire and they are not good. So I'm excited to see them collapse. And also their Florida Complex League team is taking on the Rays today in a game 3 of a winner take all championship series. So really cool stuff. A bunch of the Rays players that were drafted this year are in that series. So that championship game is today. I think it's at noon. Not televised, so you got to watch the box score. But you know, winning starts at the minor league level, so it's not super important to win those games, but it definitely helps like build that culture. So hope they can go out and win their second consecutive championship there.
I feel like that's what a lot of teams don't get is our minor league systems are consistently a winning organization. Like whether we might not win the championship, but we're always a winning organization. So to see like some of these teams that their minor league systems are just trash, it kind of points out why they're so bad.
Yeah, I mean the Rays are focused on developing every player, not just the high draft picks or the high slot value international signees. Like they want everybody to be successful, and when you have that mindset and like a coaching staff that genuinely believes that, that's why the Rays are at like their second consecutive season of having the highest winning percentage across the minors. So they did it last year. They had the best winning percentage. This year they're on pace to do that again, and it's great. It's really fun to watch.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. I'm gonna send it to you real quick for kind of your last words and anything else that you wanted to touch on before we get out of here today.
Yeah, no, just thank you everybody for listening. Do whatever like subscribe stuff on the social media things. You know our name already. You know the drill. And if you don't know the drill, get with the program. What are you doing? Follow us individually on Twitter and RBLR at RBLR Sports. That's our social media stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I think Ben said it perfect. Follow us, like it, do what you got to do. If you could do us one favor, though, it doesn't cost anything, but on wherever you're listening to this at, if you're not already subscribed, we're on every major podcasting platform as far as Spotify, Apple Music, Google. If you could just drop a follow, drop a like, whatever it is on that specific one. And then, yeah, follow us on our personal ones. Mine's at Zach Blaine, RBLR, and then everyone knows Ben's at Dog Pancake. There's numbers behind it, right?
Yeah, Dog Pancake 73.
There we go. So go drop a follow. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, any topics you want discussed on the show. I'm sure we'll look into it at least somewhat. But aside from that, we appreciate you guys for listening, and go Rays.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.